Hey everybody, this is Geoff with This Tiny Empire, and I am excited to be here this morning with Stella Grizont of Whoopah, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions about Whoopah here in just a minute. But Stella is the founder and CEO of Whoopah, and she is one of the first 150 people to be awarded the Masters of Applied Positive Psychology, and that's kind of a big deal. That's really cool. She also
Thanks.
has been featured on MSNBC's Your Business, ABC, The Today Show, is the long list of stuff that validates why you're somebody worth listening to. I
Thank
didn't know
you.
all of that when I first invited you here because I just met you very briefly at the TEDx conference in Anchorage,
Yep.
and we were kind of on at different times, and I didn't even get to see your talk. I was in the lobby talking to some people when your talk was going on, so I'm waiting for that talk to be posted online so I can actually watch your talk. But
Thank you.
it was very nice to be introduced to you. Some of the organizers sort of forced me to be introduced to you because I would kind of like hide from people if I had my druthers, and so. But it was very lovely to get to meet you, and I was like, this is somebody that I want to talk more to because you definitely
Thank
have
you.
some
Thank
some
you.
great perspectives. So, what is Whoopah? What do you guys do?
Well, at WUPA, just to put it plainly, our job is to make people's lives more happy, more awake,
Hmm.
more productive, just helping people be the totally awesome version of themselves,
Hmm.
the most awesome version of themselves. And the way we do that is through online learning. So I have an online class where people can learn about the principles of positive psychology and what are the five drivers to really flourishing through science.
Hmm.
So we do online learning. I do a lot of speaking, such as I did when we met.
Hmm.
We create also immersive play experiences.
Hmm.
So play is one of my favorite ways to get people into the state where they're really in the moment and can access a level of creativity and awareness that isn't always available to us when we're just like going through our to-do list
Yeah.
and like living life on a normal day to day. And so, whatever we can do to help people get into the state where they are like living the life that they feel is like, yeah, this is what life is really about.
Yeah.
That's our business, is to get people into that state.
Cool. Now, I love that you referred to the science of it because
Yeah.
I think that it feels or it seems on the surface to all be very touchy-feely, and we want to get in touch with our emotions and we want to be happy. And while I'm totally on board with those kind of things, um, I would imagine that there are people that you encounter who sort of cross their arms and say, "Not for me." But so there's science around this that supports this
Mhm.
idea that happiness and positivity is good for us.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't
Hmm.
just feel good. It's not
Hmm.
just like a nice to have, but it actually generates good for you.
Hmm.
So we know that, through studies that people who are happier, they live longer.
Hmm.
We know that people who experience higher well-being at work are three times more creative, 30 times more productive. They're 40% more likely to get promoted at work. So when you're emitting a level of positivity, it's first of all contagious to those around
Hmm.
you. But second of all, it's actually working for you from within.
Hmm.
Because what happens is when you're experiencing level of positivity, literally your vision is expanded and you can see the big picture. They did this really cool study. Can I tell you about it?
Yeah,
Because I love to geek out
hit
on this
me.
kind of stuff. Um, okay, so Barbara Fredrickson, who's one of the leading positive psychology researchers in the world, did this study where she hooked people up to an eye tracking device.
Hmm.
And she had two groups. One group she induced into a positive mood, and the other group she induced into a negative mood. And then she had them look on a screen. And what she found is that people who were in a positive mood tended to look around the periphery of the screen and then kind of in and around and like all throughout the image.
Hmm.
People who were in a negative mood tended to focus on one single
Hmm.
point and kind of stay around that point.
Yeah.
So if you think about this, our vision is literally bigger. We're seeing more when
Mm-hmm.
we're in a positive mood.
Mm-hmm.
So this applies to just, your personal relationships. And if you have a fight, like a way to get out of it, it applies to brainstorming at work. When we are in a positive state, we're expanded. We actually welcome other people. We
Mm-hmm.
talk to strangers more readily. We give more readily. And this has all sorts of cardiovascular benefits. So there's so many good things that
Mm-hmm.
happen when we're positive to our bodies and our work and everything. So it's just really important. And I think a lot of organizations are finally realizing this
Mm-hmm.
isn't just like touchy-feely, nice to have. This is actually critical to the flourishing of their
Yeah.
organization.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let me hit you with this one because if we had planned this, that would have been a perfect segue, but we didn't. So it just happens to be a very serendipitous segue. But I
Cool.
actually was having a conversation with one of my employees the other day about this idea that when you're in a bad mood, you sort of want to live there for a little bit. Like
Mm-hmm.
and I like that image of this sort of like you're very focused, your vision is very focused. Sometimes it seems you're very myopic about it, and you want to sort of I just want to like dwell in this for a little bit because I'm upset. And
Yeah.
so the thing we were talking about was how do you coach somebody that because I certainly know from my own attitude that choosing to not be in a bad mood goes a long way to getting me out of a bad mood.
Yes.
So I wonder if you have anything to share about how you coach somebody who you see as sort of like living in that spot for the afternoon or something, without being an asshole. Because like the last thing that somebody wants to hear when they're in a bad mood is like, "Hey, if you just chose to be in a good mood, you'd be happy." Well, that's not
Right.
exactly going to work. You have
You
any
just want to
thoughts on
like
that?
punch that
Yeah,
person in the
exactly.
face.
So how do we help the people
Yeah.
around us?
So, so the first thing I would actually say is you want to let that person be where they are
Hmm.
because there's so much value in being in a bad mood. I am not anti bad
Yeah.
moods. I am like pro bad moods. But what I say is that you just want to keep them in check
Hmm.
and you want to make sure you're overcompensating with the good stuff. But when you're feeling negative emotion, it's really important to acknowledge it.
Hmm.
So a lot of times we don't like feeling bad. So we want to distract ourselves. So we'll like dive into work or we'll
Hmm.
shop or we'll drink or we'll, pretend like nothing bad is actually happening. But I think if you're actually experiencing the emotion and you can call it out, so you can actually say to yourself, wow, I'm feeling really angry right now,
Hmm.
or I'm feeling really disappointed, or I'm feeling really frustrated. Already, by just acknowledging that bad mood, you're helping it dissipate. You're not giving it so much power because you're not resisting it, which is
Hmm.
what most of us tend to do because it
Yeah.
just doesn't feel good to feel bad. And studies actually show that when you label your negative emotion, it begins to collapse so
Hmm.
much faster. They did this cool study with MRI patients, and as they were going into that tunnel, if the attendants asked them how they were feeling, I know
Mm.
it's very
I don't like it
scary.
already.
The people who said that if they were stressed out
Uh-huh.
actually became less stressed by
Hmm.
being able to talk, to actually
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of information in negative emotion because the negative emotion is there to give you information.
Hmm.
It's to alert you, hey, I think something's wrong. I don't think your boss treated you well. I don't think, that was a nice thing to say. Whatever. We need to pay attention to that information.
Yeah.
So that's first and foremost. So I don't recommend just telling people to get over it. I actually
Yeah.
think people need to get through it. So
Hmm.
that's one. And then the next thing you would do if someone's feel if it's if they're not moving, if they're not reflecting, if they're not um, able to really see the value in what they're experiencing, then if you're a friend,
Hmm.
you might just want to be there to listen
Hmm.
and not problem solve. So you can just say, hey, let me just be a container for you. If there's something that you want to share or you want to talk about, I'm here with no judgment, and feel free to just, talk it out. The thing with the trap that a lot of people fall into is they tend to globalize a negative situation, which is when we begin to spiral out of control. So, for example, if you're working on a deal at work and it fell through, and that kind of sent you into a tailspin, it's very easy for people to globalize, I'm a failure. I'm never going to make it. So what you can do as a friend is kind of help give them perspective that this is just one event, and that this doesn't have meaning for who you are as a salesperson or who you are as an individual. This is just one event, and this is what happened. On my blog, I have, and I can send this to you to post, I have a great methodology that's called, it's not mine, but it's called ABCD, and it helps you helps you break things down so that you don't globalize, to understand what really happened, what were the emotions that got triggered, what did you start to believe about yourself, and then what is really true. Because often we inflate things, but the truth is that deal just didn't work out for that customer. It wasn't the right timing. So, so if we can break things down to just being what they are instead of globalizing them into being something much bigger, we're in a much better place.
Cool. That's awesome. I love it. One last question. It's actually kind of not a question, but it's a question about something. So the ice cream truck. I want you to tell people about the ice cream truck. So at my printing company, we have a little bit of a history here of taking old equipment that can't be salvaged out back and beating the crap out of it with sledgehammers and stuff like that, because it's treated us badly for some time, and there's some catharsis with just putting it to rest. So yours is a little bit probably more healthy, but tell me about the ice cream truck.
Sure. Well, the ice cream truck is literally a truck where people go in and they have a chance to kind of let go, and part of that letting go is screaming, which is why we call it the ice cream truck. But it's a very playful experience, which allows people to just be where they are. It was inspired by a personal breakdown of my own, where I was in my New York City apartment. It was very small. I was like really stressed out, and all I wanted to do was scream. And I did, but I realized, as New Yorkers, there's no place for you to scream and not feel like a cop was going to come and knock down your door. So I thought it would be really healthy to encourage people, one, to understand kind of what we just talked about. Feeling negative emotions is not bad. It's part of life. So if you can just go through them instead of like push them aside or avoid them, then you're going to be that much more healthy and like resilient. So I thought, well, how can we do this in a really playful way? And so I created this truck experience. We would go to Wall Street and like Midtown Manhattan, and now we're in San Francisco, and really design a playful experience. There's like grassy carpets and colorful foam noodles inside. And you're encouraged not just to scream, because you can't scream that long. You're also encouraged to get into your body, and then you go through a very deep relaxation at the end. So it kind of feels like the best of like playground meets yoga class in 10 minutes. And it's been really amazing to hear the stories that came out of that truck beyond my wildest dreams. But yeah, it's just one of the things that I've been playing with to help people, awaken to their awesomeness. So yeah,
it's so cool. I think it's such a neat idea. When I saw that, I was like, this is brilliant. It's just one of those kind of simple genius ideas. You're like, why hasn't everyone thought of this already? So good for you for thinking of it and doing something about it.
Thank you.
All right. So how do people who want to know more about the wonderful Stella Grizont find out more? Where do they go?
They can go to woopa.com, which has a tricky spelling. It's WOOP, as in Peter, APA.com. H as in Henry. So Whoopa with
Nice.
two O's, two A's, and an
Hmm.
H. And there you can find out about my class, which, by the way, I'd love to give your readers like an amazing discount,
Okay.
your watchers.
Yeah.
So let's just come up with a code and I'll put it in.
Okay.
Let's do Tiny Empire,
Okay. That works.
and they can get 50% off my course and learn about the science of happiness.
Yeah, and that
Um,
is, I've got it right here. Hold on one second. That is, yeah, the science of happiness, hacks and skills to flourish. And I will absolutely include that link
cool.
in with this because yeah, it's definitely a great resource.
Thank you. Yeah, and people can always email me, stella@whoopa.com, if they have any questions or anything. And then I have a newsletter that I
Hmm.
send out every 2 weeks where I
Okay.
usually do fun interviews like this. And I share some nuggets of info.
Cool.
So they can sign up for that as well.
All right. I will include all of that.
Thank
Well, thank
you.
you,
Thank
Stella.
you, Jeff.
I appreciate so much that you would take the time to share your insights and your knowledge with us, and I just really appreciate you spending the time.
Oh, me too. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.